Alan Mullery. Well, Alan's a real effervescent character on and off the field, and I'm sure we'll be in conflict on a number of occasions during the game at Wembley. And I can only commiserate with him that perhaps next year we'll get another opportunity to win the cup final against somebody else. Mervyn Day, when one thinks that he's only 19, he must have a tremendous future. Because of his age, actually, Merv has a nickname of Donny. I guess you can understand why. He usually home and away matches. He has a small selection of girl supporters, always hanging outside the dressing room doors, waiting to get his autograph. Also, he's a keen driver, and he likes racing around in fast cars. Actually, I don't see him drive that much because when he passes me on the road, it's just a brief blur and then he's gone in the distance. John McDowell, his nickname, I shouldn't think he's too happy with it, in fact, because he's got very thick, curly and wavy hair, so we call him Ken, with relative to Ken Dodd. As I say, he's not too pleased with it. He's one of the lads who has a pet dog. He's a real hungry boxer, not too old at present, so I think he's had a few problems with it, eating little bits of furniture at home. He calls that, naturally enough, Cassie, after Cassius Clay. Usually you see John chasing around with Cassie at the training ground on a number of occasions. Frank Lampard, surprisingly enough, he's one of the older members of the squad now, even at the age of 26. He's been at the club 9 years as well. Frank off the field, in fact, is quite involved with business. He has a road haulage business which has a small fleet of transport lorries. I believe he started off with one, and they've got half a dozen now. And I know most afternoons he goes along there, check on the schedules and make sure everything's running smoothly as well. He is one of the bearded men of the club. He was about the second, I believe, of Graham Padden and Billy Bonds, and we call them the Musketeers together. Billy Bonds, the captain of the side, very well liked and respected by all the lads. His aggressive style on the field is really completely contrary to off the park. He's a quiet fella. He goes home really first one after training, usually sprints in, has his share and is away before most of the lads have decided to sit down and catch their breath. Of course, Bill also was one of the lads this season who've had a little girl in the last few months. I think Claire now is about 6 or 7 months old. Also we had Frank, had a little girl, Kevin, Clyde, myself. It's strange really, we've had in the last 7 or 8 months 6 babies join the squad, and they've all turned out to be girls. I think Tommy's wife, in fact, is expecting in November, so we're all betting even money at present that it must be a boy to break the sequence, really. Tommy Taylor is always playing practical jokes. He's the one who really gives all the lads their various nicknames. Tom, when we travel away from home, is always likely to give the lads an apple pie bed, or he's also been known to have 1 or 2 water pistols, which don't go down too well with the lads. He keeps a pet dog. It's a massive Great Dane, and we have a number of laughs with Blue, it's called, and Tommy. He brings him over the training ground, and although the size of him, he's very gentle, but he gets up on players' shoulders and he really looms over them. And Tommy's got a bit of a reputation for being a good eater. 3 or 4 of the lads have, in fact. I'll leave myself out of that, of course. But Tommy's certainly it's top of that table. So usually, as I say, most of the lads are fighting to get on a separate table, so at least they've got some food to eat. Kevin Locke, he's had a tremendous last 12 months, really. What with getting to the cup final, he's also had a little girl called Carly just a few months ago. Carly was named after Carly Simon as such. Certainly, I don't think there's any need to say what he called if they'd have had a boy as such. But he's really mad keen on Elton John. Really idolises him. And last week, in fact, when we went down to some recording studios, we made a single. Kev was up there at the front there, getting hold of the microphone in full voice. I think he was after a contract, actually, to sing solo. Billy Jennings, he's one of the bachelor lads of the club. I know Bill is, in fact, one of those lads, he always seems to know what's happening within the area. And so if any of the other single lads are looking for something to do on any particular evening on the weekends, Bill can usually help sort them out something or other. A couple of them are in digs, and so Bill and Alan, when he's in digs, and Keith Robson, I think they tend to go out together as such. And they're quite a happy crowd, I think, the trio of them. Graham Paddon, he's got a nickname that Tommy gives him, calls him Rolf, after Rolf Harris. As you can see, is another of the bearded men. Graham takes a little bit stick from the lads occasionally as well about his dress. He's a very trendy dresser. Likes a little bit of colour in his suits and shirts. Anyone's just got to bring in a new pair of trousers or a new shirt, and the lads immediately pounce on that. A couple of weeks ago, in fact, I bought a new jumper and trousers that were matching, and strolled in on a match day with them. And actually, I didn't in fact do it on purpose. I got there a little bit early, so I was half changed when most of the lads came in. But they still managed to notice it. And when I came back from the physiotherapy's room after getting a strap in, I found them both pinned up on the notice board for show. Alan Taylor, very quiet lad, very likeable. I'm sure it must take a little sinking in at the moment to imagine that he could be playing at Wembley after just a few months ago being at Rochdale. He's a very speedy lad, actually. In training, I certainly, myself, I try to avoid being paired with him in the sprints. I know in the semi-final he's under a bit of pressure because his fiancée comes from the Ipswich area, and obviously her parents and family probably had a divided loyalties as to whether they were supporting Ipswich or West Ham. But I should think as Alan scored the both goals, everyone was happy. Pat Holland, his nickname Tommy's given him is Dutch, and although in fact if he's having a particularly good morning in training, we do him the honour of calling him Johan then. But he's a bit of a comedian actually, Pat. He's quite a sly comments, Patsy, and we have a lot of jokes with him. Very popular fella. Being a local lad, he knows a lot of the old haunts in the East End, and I believe Keith Robson, Bill Jennings and the other bachelor lads of the side also go to him for a few words of advice of where to go on different evenings.